Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Cruiser Chris World Network. I am Cruiser Chris. Last Tuesday evening, we told you that starting tonight, we would be doing live readings from a book that we are in the process of writing here at the Cruiser Chris World Network. Well, it pleasures me to tell all of you that we were able to keep that deadline with the current situation of everything going on. So I would like to begin by welcoming everybody to the podcast. I will begin now reading the story. All of the names in this story have been changed or edited to protect the true identities of those involved. Some of the facts in the story are true, while others are dramatized for your entertainment. This is the story of a boy by the name of Jhonny Blaze Dale. Jhonny was born on May 10th, 1986 at Abbott Northwestern Hospital. Jhonny, throughout his infancy, his mom noticed that Jhonny was not meeting his milestones. For example, his milestones, like a normal boy of his age should be meeting his milestones. For example, a baby is normally able to sit up at the age of 7 to 9 months. A baby is also able to turn over close to that age. Jhonny was not able to do any of these things. At 5 years old, Jhonny was diagnosed with autism, depression, fetal alcohol syndrome, and mild retardation, along with dysplasia. Jhonny has 2 other siblings in his family: Terry, his older sister by 3 years, and Tori, a younger brother that is a year and a half younger than he is. Terry has mild depression and anxiety, as does Tori. Has mild depression and anxiety that they have to deal with on an everyday basis. Jhonny's mom, Sue, and his dad, Tony, were partiers, meaning they liked to drink a little bit more than a parent should sometimes as the kids grew up. They also partook occasionally in using illegal drugs. Because of this, all of the kids had some shortcomings that they had to deal with. So at the age of 6, Jhonny was approved for 16 hours a week of PCA services through Cruiser Chris Home Health Care LLC. Sue, Jhonny's mom, worked 10 of these hours. Sue also asked the company to search for another staff member for Jhonny to work weekends with Jhonny so that the family could, or so that Sue and his dad could do things on the weekends. Sort of like a little bit of a free time for them kind of thing. So the Cruiser Chris Home Healthcare LLC staff began looking for a PCA for Jhonny. They found a PCA by the name of Kendra. Kendra was just right out of high school. She was 18 years old with long blonde hair with strawberry highlights and eyes the color of seafoam blue. She was supposed to meet with Jhonny and Sue on April 15th at 11 in the morning. Kendra, who had long blonde hair and seafoam blue eyes, was very excited to work at this new position. She had done a little bit of PCA prior to working with Jhonny, but had not done much. So on April 15th at 10:45, Kendra showed up to Jhonny's house to do the interview with Sue. Kendra went up to the door and knocked on the door. When Sue answered the door, Jhonny was behind her, hiding, and Kendra, when Sue opened the door, Kendra was very excited to meet her. She smiled, but was overcome by a smell. Kendra walked into the house to begin the interview. Sue apologized over and over again for the condition that their house was currently in and made up a bunch of excuses as to why the house was in the condition that it was in. This brings us to the end of the first reading of the Jhonny story. Please tune in next week at 7 p.m. Meanwhile, we here at the Cruiser Chris World Network would like to remind you to obey the orders of your local officials. Please stay home, please wash your hands, and please observe the social distancing guidelines as set out by the government. If you would like to find out more about the Cruiser Chris World Network and what we are doing, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and while you're there, hit the notification bell to get the latest updates about what we are doing here at the Cruiser Chris World Network. We truly do appreciate you watching this presentation of the Cruiser Chris World Network and would invite you to tune in next week for the next part of the story. Thank you and have a good night.